The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Eels Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Wrap. So here with Duckman and got a special guest on now, Troy Warner from the Paracave Podcast. Troy, how you going?
Going fantastic, Duckman, and looking forward to another round of great NRL action, but getting motivated for next Wednesday night, game number 2 in the men's State of Origin series. So can't wait for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you catch the under-19s the other day, the under-19s men's and the under-19s women's State of Origin? Was it yesterday or was it the day before?
Last night at Leichhardt Oval. I think there was about 5,000 odd fans there. And look, it was a great result for New South Wales as both the women's and the men's won those games over Queensland. The women's game, that was unbelievable. 46 points to 4 over Queensland, and some of the tries they were scoring were unbelievable. I don't know many of the players that played, but certainly they would have been put on notice got noticed, and could potentially end up in NRLW sides. For the under-19s men's, the New South Wales won 14 points to 10. A few familiar names in the New South Wales squad: Chevy Stewart, who was player of the match from the Canberra Raiders, and Matt Arthur, the son of Brad Arthur as well. He scored the match-winning try, you could say, in the 58th minute. Hasn't played first grade yet, but may get a taste of it later on in the year. But great result for New South Wales all the way around.
Yep. So which player was giving himself a bit of a water downstairs with what was going on with that? As you say, the New South Wales players, it might have been Matt Arthur actually. One of the players was spraying himself in the groin region with, I don't get it, with the bottle just standing there like it'll grow on its own, mate. You don't need to water it. It's all right.
No, I didn't see that one. I'll have to go back and watch the replay, I guess. But no, I didn't see that one.
You're definitely going to have a look at it. You'll see it. There's memes of it up around on some of the football pages on Facebook and stuff. So I just went, I don't know what's going on there, but that looks all just weird. So that's young people now. It all looks weird. So in the women's match, I have to say, some New South Wales fans got on the Queensland State of Origin page and said Queensland just don't get Origin. They revved it up after that loss. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, why not light the firecracker and throw it in the room with the Queenslanders before the Origin game on Wednesday night? Let's do it. So it started it off, the fans kicking off each other. So do you like Madge through the week saying people at glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones, effectively having a chop at Billy Slater? Even though Billy Slater's, I'm not going to comment about Sue Lee. He's effectively fired a shot across the bow about some of the things that Billy Slater used to do as a player, and he used to do some questionable stuff, sliding with the knees, lift his knees when he's taking bombs and all that sort of stuff. There's a level of protection there trying to do as fullback. Van Fing has done some stupid things, striking players and that as well. So, yeah, what can you do? So what did you think about that? And then we'll have a look at the lineups.
Oh, I thought it was great, wasn't it? I mean, I think over the last couple of years, we've probably missed that sort of, I guess, antagonism between New South Wales and Queensland. It's been a bit quiet, and trying to motivate the series. It was great to hear Madge say that. And of course, we all know Billy Slater as a player and what he went through. I think there was something like 10 charges or so throughout his career, and I think the biggest suspension he served, I think, was 7-8 weeks, I think. But yeah, they all range from coming in with the knees, the feet, high tackles and the like. So, I don't know whether it's between the coaches, that one. I don't know how that's going to affect the players, but it'd be good if the players come out and barb each other, I guess, just to add that intensity to an Origin game. As I said, we probably haven't seen it as intense between these two sides in the last few years. We've had, I think, previously when Kevin Walters was coach of Queensland, he would never mention New South Wales. So, it's good. It's good to see, I think.
Yeah, I reckon we should wait until we go back to Brisbane. I wish this game was in Brisbane because this is what I would do myself personally as a player. If I was, and you need Payne Haas to do it right because his teammates are Reece Walsh. So you're going to need to wear a helmet because we're coming for you. And people go, they're saying they're going to bash your head. Never said that. Just said you're going to need to wear a helmet. We're coming for you. So either that or Michael Maguire needs to come out and say it. Put it out there publicly and do it. Otherwise, I'll say it. We're coming for you. We're going to belch at Reece Walsh. So if you get hit in the head, that's your problem. There's plenty of spots in other sports, mate. So, whatever. So you can play marbles or something if you can't handle it. So get after and fire it up a little bit. We'll have a look at the sides. We'll run through the lineups and then talk about changes to New South Wales first. Dylan Edwards, Brian Toto, Latrell Mitchell, Stephen Crichton, Zach Lomax, Jerome Luai, Mitchell Moses, Jake Trbojevic, Reece Robson, Payne Haas, Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, Cameron Murray, and on the bench got Connor Watson, Isaiah Hamala Olakawatu, and Spencer Lenu. The 18th man is Mitch Barnett. It's very unlikely Cameron McGuinness. And Luke Keary will get on. I don't think they will. And Hudson Young has dropped out there. James Tedesco has dropped out. Suaalii is suspended. Matt Burton, I reckon, got ripped. And Nico Hines got dropped as well, so didn't have a flash game. So what do you think of that lineup and the changes that were made?
Yeah, look, there's certainly some interesting changes there. I think Dylan Edwards, he got his spot back. He was always going to be selected for Game 2 if he was fit because he got selected in Game 1. That's not to say that James Tedesco didn't do a good job in Game 1. I thought he played pretty okay. He played all right against Parramatta Eels last weekend, but Dylan was always going to get that spot if he was fit. Latrell Mitchell, Latrell's made for these big games, isn't he? And I think we need, New South Wales needs strike players, and it just sets it up. A game at the MCG, 100,000 people there. It's just going to be massive for Latrell. He's going to be on the big stage. And look, the last couple of weeks, South Sydney have been winning games, and he's been an integral part of them winning games. So it's good to see Latrell back. Obviously, Mitchell Moses, again, he would have been probably selected for Game 1 if he didn't have that foot injury that he suffered against Manly in Round 3. So he's got that spot there. Who else we got? Cameron Murray. That's an interesting one to come back into the starting lineup, I think, for Origin. He's had an injury and he's come back last week, was his first game in a while. So no doubt he can handle it, and he is an Origin type player. I think he's played in the last 5 or so series. So I think he will be able to handle it. Connor Watson on the bench, well, he's pretty much Mr. Versatile, isn't he? He can play a lot of positions. He can play anywhere in the halves. He can play lock even. Coach Michael Maguire has compared Connor Watson to Craig Wing, who played in the early 2000s, but believes that he is even more versatile. So he reckons he can maybe even play prop 2 at a pinch, but I don't know about that one. But it's great to see Connor come back or come into the Origin. He's going to make his debut there. And the rest of the team pretty much sort of speaks for itself. I think Spencer Leniu was one of the best players for New South Wales in Game 1, so he retains his spot. Mitch Barnett, he must have been close. Cameron McInnes can maybe find himself a little bit unlucky, but I guess him and Cameron Murray are very similar players. So, look, I think it's probably a better side than Game 1, and that it's going to have to be to beat Queensland.
Oh, it will be for sure. So, my big problems there, Connor Watson. I can tell you, I reckon he was lucky with playing first grade at Newcastle when he was playing. So he's dodged a bullet. Like Michael Maguire, if New South Wales lose because he's playing, Michael Maguire should be sacked immediately because I just don't think Connor Watson's up for it. So we'll find out quickly. But gee, say he's as good as Craig Wing. You got to get off the drink or something. So I don't think he's that good. he's all right. It's not bad for. Well, I would say he's a winger, maybe a fullback. So wouldn't put him fullback in State of Origin, but he would be playing winger or centre, and he'd be playing outside centre. Although rugby league only got left or right centres because people can't work out the positions of what side to stand on when, say, inside and outside centre. So, I don't know, he'll be all right. I'm not too sure about that one. But the utility aspect will look, I just thought it was a rough, like, did he deserve the better? Probably. Was he injured or something? Is that why he didn't get picked the first time off the bench?
No, he just was playing okay football. He's come off I think it was an ACL last year. I think he was, or it might have been another injury, but he pretty much had all of last year off, I think. And he's come back through New South Wales Cup at the start of the year and progressed onto the interchange bench and progressed into the starting lineup as well recently. So I guess it's a little bit of a feel-good story, and certainly going to add that versatility to this New South Wales side. As I said, he can play many a position. He can sub off Reece Robson as well if need be, although Reece could probably play 80 minutes, but Origin's a different beast, and can probably play pretty much anywhere in the back line. So a pretty handy player to have on your bench.
They'll have the backs covered, all right. So I reckon they've got him there as well because they're not too sure about Mitchell Moses with his foot or whatever was going on there. So I reckon both the halves have got a little bit of question mark around their fitness to some degree, even though they've both been playing and getting through. Like when you're playing this level, when you play for long enough, most of the time guys are carrying some sort of level of injury. So I would always carry a back on the bench like New South Wales did it in the past with Des Hasler and that. I couldn't understand when they carried Nico Hines on the bench last year. They carried a guy that could only play halfback. That was the problem. And then this year decided not to do it in game one at all. Let's just carry all forwards. Well, burned them, right, as soon as they lost someone. And Queensland had that versatility. This year, we'll have a look at Queensland side here. They got Reece Walsh, Xavier Coates, Valentine Holmes, Miso Tabai-Fido, Murray Tuolagi, Tom Dearden. I reckon Tom Dearden is going to be an X-factor player down the track, but not quite there, right? Still developing. Daly Cherry Evans, Ruben Cotter, Ben Hunt, Lindsay Collins, Jaden Sewer, Jeremiah Nanai, Patrick Carrigan, Harry Grant, Moeki Potawaka, Felice Kafusi, and Kurt Capewell there. Their 18th man is Dane Gagai. They've got Helium Lukey there. I call him Helium because that's what his name looks like. And Trent Lowerio is on the bench as well. So they're big losers for Jermaine Hopgood. So I didn't think he played too bad. I'm a bit surprised they dropped him. And Selwyn Cobbo, there's something else around that one. That's not 100% right. So I don't care. I don't buy their story at the moment. Kurt Capewell's come in. Yeah, he can play in the backs, but he's a second rower, right? So he could probably play in prop as well, but they're not going to need to because they've got a couple of big boys there already. So Kurt Capewell, what are they doing with that? So I know they can move Ben Hunt into the backs if they need to as well, into the halves. Potentially could probably move Dearden into centre as well, but I don't know. I'm not sure what Queensland's thinking of there.
Well, we have seen Kurt Capewell play in the centres for Queensland before, and as you mentioned, he could play lock, back row as well, so that's probably his little bit of versatility. Jermaine Hopgood is apparently still suffering from a back injury. I think it was from maybe the Liam Martin tackle in Origin 1. It was a cracker, that one. But he didn't play last week against the Roosters for Parramatta, so he's still out injured at the moment. He potentially could be back next week for the Eels versus the Newcastle game. Selwyn Cobbo, as you said, is an interesting one. Coach Billy Slater said he was going to give him a rest in this one. He has he's only young, and look, he has been battling. He has had injections throughout this season just to play, but look, I think he did pretty well in game one. I don't know where you would have fit him in game two for this one, but I mean, we didn't know where he was going to fit in game one, but it all came to fruition after 7 minutes when Suaalii got sent off for that tackle on Reece Walsh. So that was a coaching masterstroke there from Billy Slater. So it'll be interesting to see when he comes back for the Broncos, Selwyn. So he'll play Origin again. But even still, it's a pretty strong Queensland side. So I think it's the same one that played in game one. So though Felice Kafusi comes onto the interchange bench, he was 18th man in the first one, and Kurt Capel comes in as well. So it is a very strong Queensland side once again. It'll be interesting to see how Reece Walsh goes after not playing 2 games for the Broncos and then coming straight back into Origin after that HIA that he suffered in game one. But I'm sure he'll be able to pick up the pace, that's for sure. But they'll go into the game as favourites into this one in game 2.
Yeah, well, they've said the Queensland historically, when they've won game 1 in Sydney, they've gone on and won the series in 1988, 95, 98, 2010, 15, and 16 and 2022. They've only lost one series when they've lost the first game or won the first game and not gone on with it. And that was in 1994, and Mike O'Connor kicked that field goal from the sideline.
Well, interesting stat. You mentioned 1995 there. Queensland won that series 3-0, and that was the last time that they won down in Melbourne at the MCG. I think they've played State of Origin there 5 times, and Queensland, New South Wales have won 4 of them. So Queensland have only won the one down there, and I think that was that 1995 game. So this may be their second one if they can get over the line on Wednesday night.
Yeah, that's right. Before we bounce into this week's matches as well, so next Thursday night, got the Women's State of Origin decider. So that one is at Queensland Country Bank Stadium at Townsville. So we'll go through that side as well. So Queensland look like this. Got Tamika Upton at fullback, Julia Robinson, Shania Sia-Solka, Ivania Polite, I think that's how she pronounces her name, Emanita Pucky, Taryn Aiken, Ali Brigginshaw, Shannon Mato, Lauren Brown, Jessica Elliston, Tasman Rapana, Romy Teetzel, and Keely Joseph on their interchange bench. They got Emma Manselman, Mackenzie Wheel, Sophie Hollyman, and Chelsea Lenarduzzi, and their reserves bench here, the extended bench is Zahara Tamara. I got Emily Bass and Lily Peacock. So how many of those players do you know, and what do you think of that? So that looks pretty good for the side of here. It's going to be a tight match.
Yeah, definitely, and it's pretty exciting to see that this is going to be a history-making event as well. Game 3, the first time the women's game has played 3 games of State of Origin. Last year it was 2, and then previously to that it was 1 game every year. So it's great to see that this is a decider. New South Wales won up there last year, up at Townsville. This will be a full house again, like we saw at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. But this Queensland side, they will go into the game as favourites, I'd say, playing up there. And look, it's a very strong side, isn't it? I mean, Tamika Upton at the fullback position, Dally M Player of the Year last year in the NRLW, and Premiership winner as well.
3 tries in the grand final, or 2 tries in the grand final to win it, though.
Yeah, that's it. And, you know, Ali Brigginshaw as well. She's a very experienced halfback for Queensland. And Lauren Brown at hooker as well. She was the one who kicked the winning field goal in game 2 as well. So, look, all these players play in the NRLW, so they're pretty familiar with fans who watch the game. And as I said, it's a very strong lineup.
Yeah, that's right. And the New South Wales side look like this. So number 1's Emma Tonegado. Number 2, Jamie Chapman. Number 3, Jessica Sergis. Number 4, Isabel Kelly, who's the captain. Number 5, Tiani Penatani. Number 6, Corbin Baxter. Number 7, Rachel Pearson. Number 8, Millie Boyle. Number 9, Olivia Higgins. Number 10, Caitlin Johnson-Green. Number 11 is Kezzy Apps. Number 12, Yasmin Clydesdale. Number 13 is Livia Koenig. 14 is Talia Fumuana. 15 is Keely Davis. 16, Grace Kemp. And 17, Sarah Togatuki. And on their bench, got Jakaya Whitfield on the extended bench here, player 18. Kira Dibb 19 and Ellie Johnson in 20. So it's going to be a strong team. And really, I think it's pretty close too. So I like that the last game went down 11-10 or whatever it was. So it means you're going to get bang for your buck if you go and watch that game on Thursday night. It will be a cracking match for sure. They are very good teams.
Yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing there is that I do believe that the New South Wales Sky Blues team for Game 3 is the same side that's played in the first 2. So that could be a pretty interesting thing there. They would know all their combinations and the like. So the same team for the 3 games. And also it was interesting that New South Wales won up in Queensland Game 1, Suncorp Stadium. Queensland won at McDonald Jones Stadium in New South Wales. So hopefully New South Wales can win back up in Queensland again. So hopefully that trend continues, and hopefully New South Wales can win in the men's on Wednesday, and that will be a great week for New South Wales Rugby League.
Oh, absolutely will be. So they'll be absolutely stoked if they can get the win in both or either. So will be good as well. So hopefully, I'm pretty confident the women's side can get that business done. We'll see if their guys can do it on Wednesday night. So the only thing I'm concerned about, the men's state of origin side, it's just a lot of changes, right? And funnily enough, the best 3 players in the comp are not playing in that match. So being Nathan Cleary, Cameron Munster, and my best mate Joey Manu. I think they're the best 3 X-Factor blokes.
Joey's a Kiwi anyway, so he can't play.
Yeah, I know. Well, he could. He went to King's School or whatever, so he could potentially play. So just people need to lie about where they come from sometimes. How are they even going to know?
Well, he plays for New Zealand, so he's that's a Tier 1 nation in International Rugby League. So if he played for Samoa or Tonga, maybe he could play Origin, but New Zealand is a Tier 1 nation, so he can't play, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right. So it's all good. But, yeah, they're the top 3 players. Finally, that's who I honestly think the top 3 X-Factor players are in a comp. Daly Cherry Evans is right next to, I reckon there's 4 guys that are game breakers that can win the game on their own, the comp, and there's only 4, right? There's really not that many that could do it all the time. Nathan Cleary proved he could do it in the grand final. Seen Munster do it a handful of times. Definitely seen Joey Manu do it, and Daly Cherry Evans, he's been able to do it on and off. Not every single match all the time anymore, but he's still that guy that can get that done. You could pretty much rely on him to win a game on his own, and he's done it in the past, so he could definitely do it again. He'd be a big player to watch again. And the Origin, even though it's 35 on Wednesday night for New South Wales there. Let's kick into the games now tonight. So it's a short round here, split round again. Got the Dolphins up against Melbourne Storm, 8 p.m. up in Redcliffe tonight. Very certain I've gone for the Storm here. I just think the Dolphins going to be missing a few too many firepower players, and that might be a bit of a problem for them coming up against the Storm, who are pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, Storm sit on the top of the ladder, and the game's being played at Suncorp Stadium up in Brisbane. This round is actually an interesting round because on paper, yes, obviously you've got the State of Origin players out, so you've taken the best players out of each club, but some of these replacements that have come into these teams are just as good. I mean, a prime example is the fullback for the Dolphins tonight, Trey Fuller. We all got excited with him when he started playing, and his second game of NRL was against Parramatta in Darwin and absolutely blitzed it. few weeks later, he did a great try, and was a great replacement for the Hammer whilst he was out injured. So, pretty handy replacement there. I actually think that the Dolphins can get the win in this game. They're just playing with a lot of confidence at the moment. Coach Craig Bellamy actually has a massive winning advantage over Wayne Bennett, so that's an interesting one there. The student has got a winning record over the master, but I actually think the Dolphins can get this win. Ryan Pappenhausen comes back for the Storm, so that's good to see. Melbourne actually play good up at Suncorp as well, so like a little bit of a second home for them as well. They certainly made that during the COVID year anyway as well, but I think the Dolphins can get the win in this game.
Yeah, they can. So I've got no doubt they could do it. I think the Storm will win. I'm pretty sure Ryan Pappenhausen's playing, and most of the Storm's good players. So that's why I think if they gel, they're going to just be too good for the Dolphins. End of the day, Gold Coast have found themselves on the bottom of the ladder now. So I really think they're probably underperforming a bit, and they've had a bit of a tough chop too, because if they had 4 or 5 games go 4 points the other way or 6 points the other way, all of a sudden they're up in the middle of the table. So instead they're on the bottom of the table and they're taking on the Warriors. They're going to have a hard day out tomorrow, I think, at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, played up on the Gold Coast. The Warriors go into this game favourite. I think this is a real crucial time for the Warriors during this Origin period to get as many wins as they can whilst players from other sides are out due to Origin. I mean, the Gold Coast have only got Mo Fotuaika out, but he is a big part playing that front row position for the Gold Coast, so they'll miss his go forward. But look, this is a pretty strong Warriors side, and as I said, they sit in 12th position on the ladder, and they want to get up closer to that top 8, and then who knows, maybe they might make the top 4. I don't think so, but they definitely want to get into that top 8. So I think the Warriors will get this win. The Titans, yeah, look, they're struggling. They should have got the win against the Tigers last week, but the Tigers outran them at Leichhardt and ended up getting the victory. So that they have been probably one of the disappointing sides of season 2024. I thought maybe they would have gone a little bit better than what they did previously, but unfortunately they haven't. So they've had a few injuries here and there. Des Hasler's first year as coach up there, so they're not tracking as good as they wish they could be. So the Warriors to win this one for me.
Yeah, he'll be disappointed 100%. Yeah, I went for the Warriors too. So Des Hasler would have been thinking he'll have them on the verge of finals. Now, just be happy if they're not going to come last, realistically, because they're going to have to fight to get off the bottom and stay off the bottom, because a few of the sides are pulling up wins here and there. The Tigers, they're going to come good and end up on the bottom, I think. Again, at the moment, if you don't like it, West Tigers fans, 0434 440 553. Send through your hate mail and your messages, and I'm happy to read it on air. Don't really care. Is it going to come last? That's a hot tip. So write it down, peg it in. I'm tipping it now. What round are we up to?
16.
So round 16. So pretty much that's a lock. If you're not, you're going to battle bravely against the Titans for the wooden spoon. Unfortunately, you won't even win you might not even win the wooden spoon. Find out.
Some would say that Parramatta are in that running too.
Yeah, Parramatta have probably got enough firepower to get themselves out of there if they can kickstart the season a bit. We'll see what happens. The Roosters are up against the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are missing a couple of key players, e.g. Stephen Crichton. Big loss. He is going to be a massive loss there. And the Roosters are going to go pretty close to full strength in this game. I think the Roosters will be able to roll through the Bulldogs. I think it'll be high scoring again like it was last year. But I think the Roosters will get the win there tomorrow night.
Yeah, played up there at Gosford at Industry Group Stadium on the Central Coast. Good to see some footy up there. We all know how much the Central Coast love their rugby league, so good to get a game up there. Look, this game, their first time they played this year was an interesting one. The Bulldogs got out to a 26-0 lead at half-time, absolutely blitzing it at a cool stadium, and then the Roosters came back, but the Bulldogs held on 30 points to 26. So you could be right. It could be another high-scoring affair. The Roosters, they've lost Angus Crichton, Connor Watson, Lindsay Collins and Spencer Leniu to Origin, but they still have a pretty strong squad. So they've got James Tedesco, your favourite player, Joey Manu, Dom Young, Luke Keary, Sam Walker, JWH. Brandon Smith comes back into the hooker position after his 1 week off. Victor Radley, so they are still a pretty strong team. I think the Bulldogs are going to really miss Stephen Crichton. He's been one of the big reasons why they have gone so well this season, just with his leadership on field and encouragement of his other teammates as well. So I think they're going to miss him. Jacob Kiraz goes into that centre position into his spot. So I think they're going to miss him a lot. It's funny how you can take one player out of a side, how it can influence that side. But I think the Roosters will get the win in this one.
Yeah, so you reckon Dom Young will get his jersey ripped in half and get sent off again this game? Surely it's not going to happen twice.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that'll happen again.
Yeah, so Joey Manu pretty much got the Roosters back into the game last time. I think that Tedesco is in decent form, except can't tackle. He showed that at State of Origin, gave up a couple of easy tries because of his turnstile tackling technique. But the Roosters are just, I think they've got too much firepower. If they get fire and they're good players, they're going to be able to ramp it up against the Bulldogs. But Stephen Crichton is everything that a Bulldogs is playing. I'd say the Bulldogs probably could lock it in to get the win there. He has really changed them around this year. Yeah, Roosters for me in that one. Rabbitohs against the Seagulls, so it's the two of the most inconsistent teams in the comp. One of them's near the bottom, one of them's on the fringe of the top 8. One of them could potentially win the comp. The other one, I don't know, if they turn up and have a crack like they did last week, which surprised me, they might be able to get another good win. Although Latrell Mitchell is out, how much do you reckon that's going to hurt Souths? And I went for Souths in this one, so I just think Manly's going to be hurting a bit without Jake Trbojevic, Tom Trbojevic, or Daly Cherry Evans.
Yeah, I'll start off by saying I did tip South in this one as well. But in terms of your question about Latrell Mitchell not playing because of Origin, they've got Jai Gray back at fullback now. He's only a little fella, but geez, he can play. He scored some great tries when he was in earlier while Latrell was suspended. So he is a pretty handy replacement. Look, he's no Latrell, but he is certainly an exciting player to watch. That's for sure. Cameron Murray is also representing New South Wales as well. So Keon Kolomatangi, he goes into the lock position. But look, South, they're on a little bit of a roll at the moment. They've had 3 wins in a row, and they've climbed themselves off the bottom of the ladder. I think they have to win something like 9 from 12, I think it is, or 8 from 11, something like that, to get into the top 8. So it's a big ask, but they have to just keep on winning, and they'll slowly climb their way up that ladder. They're favourites into this game. The Sea Eagles, they sit in 8th spot. They just clawed in their way with their win over the Dragons last week at Brookvale Oval. But as you mentioned before, without Tom Trbojevic, who's been out for a while now, I think he's due back next week or the week after for the Sea Eagles. So that's good news for them. But without him, without his brother Jake as well, and DCE and Olakauatu as well, so take out their 4 best players out of that side, and that's a massive ask on the other players to step in. So Luke Brooks, he captains the side this week for the Sea Eagles, so that'll be all the responsibility will be on his shoulders. So this will be an interesting test for Luke. We haven't seen that since his days at the Tigers last year, because he's had DCE there, so all the responsibility will be on his shoulders, I guess, for this game being captain. Carl Lawton is a halfback, so he usually plays in a hooker, so that's an interesting one there. But yeah, as I said at the top of this one, I said that South will get the win in this one.
Yeah, so do I, yeah. So what I reckon they should have done, the NRL stuffed up. They should have teed this round up so that the Seagulls are playing against West Tigers and play it at Leichhardt Oval, so that all the West Tigers fans, all the ones with no teeth and that stuff, who live around Leichhardt and Ashfield, they can get in there and give it to Luke Brooks. And Luke Brooks doesn't do anything. He did nothing for the Tigers. So, and then I would love to see that and see him go out there and roll over the top of them and then give it to them afterwards. So that would be hilarious, but it's not going to get to that because it's playing South. Instead, it's going to some South fans. Everyone hates South Sydney. Well, whatever, mate. Go and get some beef. So there you go. South fans, you don't like that, 0434 440 553. I can hook you up with a dentist and point you in the right direction. West Tigers, they're up against Canberra. They're going to be confident they're going to get a win. They're lucky they're not playing in Canberra. That's all I'll tell you, because it is cracking cold down there. And I reckon there's going to be another snow day down there sooner or later. Hopefully another Raiders game maybe this year. That'll be good to see.
Yeah, well, funny you mentioned that. I think it was in 2000 when these two teams played down in Canberra. That was the famous snow game that you can check out on YouTube, an actual game of snow. But you never know, there might be another one this season coming up. But this one's at Campbelltown, so the other home of the West Tigers. And this game is probably two full-strength teams playing against each other, so this game could be anything. 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, the only game there, so probably a full house or a big crowd down there at Campbelltown. But Lachlan Galvin is back at 5'8" position. Aiden Caesar goes to halfback. Api Coruscant, some have said that he has been unlucky not to crack it for State of Origin this year. He's obviously the captain of the Tigers. Look, they just they had a good win against the Titans last week. If they lost that game, I think that would have been their 10th straight loss. So they won that game. That would give them a little bit of confidence going into this game. Canberra, they got demolished by the Cowboys at home, so they sit in 7th spot at the moment. They've got a negative for and against, which is not good to have in the top 8. So they will need. This is a crucial game for the Raiders. They need these 2 points just to stay in that 8, especially without that positive for and against. So I've tipped Canberra in this one.
Yeah, I think I tipped Canberra as well. Can't believe I lost the game last week, but there you go. So these things happen. My tips went real good last week too. I got 3 out of 8, so got none out of 4 for the first game. So it's doing really well. So all these stupid results and upsets really. So forgetting to put my tips in Friday night, that was a good one too. So just make sure get the absolute minimum number of tips I could get. Raiders didn't turn up against Cowboys. That didn't help. The Rabbitohs beating the Broncos. That didn't help. Tigers beating the Titans. That didn't help. And, then it went back to normal after that. So, thankfully, the Storm, the Roosters, and the Panthers came good. And even the Seagulls, seriously, just be consistent. Either be consistently bad or consistently good. I can live with both, right? Just, you're all over the place with St George. One week they look like they could potentially make semis. Next week they look like they want to get the wooden spoon. So we'll see what happens. All right. So before we kick on and get heading off, so Parramatta, lots of talk at the moment about what's going on. Not sure if you heard SEM through the week. Justin Holbrook got asked by Jimmy Smith if he's interested in the job. Was he ever asked? He said he is interested in the job. And I didn't realise he was an assistant coach at Parramatta before he went and took on the coaching job at Gold Coast as well. I didn't realise that at all. So I did know he went and coached in the UK. So I think he had an assistant role at Parramatta it must have been before, because when he came back from Bradford or whatever, he went straight into the Titans role. So who who would you be happy to see coach the Eels? And if it was Justin Holbrook, would you like that? I don't think he's going for it. I don't think he's throwing his hat in the ring because he's probably too tied in with the Roosters, but he would be a pretty good choice, in my opinion. So I think he did a fairly good job at Gold Coast.
Yeah, he did. He obviously won a premiership over there in England with, I think it was St. Helens. And I think I don't know about if he's done anything at Parramatta. I'll have to check that one out before that must have been when his coaching career started, but I'll have to check that one out. But definitely had success over in England. Probably was a bit hard done by, I thought, getting the sack from the Titans. They were going okay at the time. Probably didn't have the cattle that he needed. But yeah, he's been doing assistant coaching at the Roosters. I think I heard he mention the other day that just the timing of it is not too good. I think he's probably a bit of a loyal man, and we'll see out his contract at the Roosters. So if anything else pops up in the future, he'll probably go for that one. But I don't think his name is being mentioned as a possible Parramatta coach. I think it may have been when there was about 6 or 8 candidates putting their hands up for it. I actually would probably... I would have liked to have seen that. The word has come out that there's only 2 front runners for this job at the moment: Jason Riles and Josh Hannay. So both assistant coaches, one at Melbourne, one at the Cronulla Sharks, Josh Hannay, and he's also the Queensland Origin assistant coach. He comes with big raps from Billy Slater in terms of his coaching credentials, but I probably would have actually liked to. It's crazy, I know, but I would have liked to have gone for Michael Checker. I just think it's come out today that he wants to do an NRL head coaching job. He wants that to do. He wants to add that on his resume. I just think that a new, fresh set of eyes into the game of rugby league. In saying that, he has coached Lebanon previously in the World Cup. He has done some assistant coaching at the Roosters as well. We all know he was a coach of the Wallabies and also Argentina in the rugby, and taken them to World Cups as well. So I probably would have liked to have seen him as Parramatta head coach, but I don't think he is going to get a run in because, as I mentioned before, Josh Hannay and Jason Riles will probably get that job now that they have been touted as the 2 top candidates. So, look, as a Parramatta fan, I just wish it would hurry up and get sorted and done, because there's players that are coming off contract at the end of this year looking for a club for next year, but they can't come to Parramatta because they don't know who the coach is, so that makes it very difficult. And look, it's been about 6 weeks now, I think, since Parramatta hasn't had a head coach for 2025. I know it's a long and important process to try and get the right person, but I think they should have probably maybe thought of that before they sacked Brad Arthur. Most good clubs and the best clubs, they would have a plan in place in terms of, if we're going to sack our head coach, then we already know who is going to replace them. But that hasn't happened here, and as a fan, I just hope that it happens sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, I can't believe that Parramatta come out and the board said, oh, yeah, we were looking at getting rid of him in November last year. If you were doing that, why did you persist with keeping him on until now? Like, if that's how you were going, why didn't you get the ball rolling and have this stuff down the track? From the 2 candidates who've got the best chance here, Jason Riles and Josh Hannay, I think it could go either way, but I think if Jason Riles gets another opportunity, because I think you sounded out about St George Illawarra job before Shane Flanagan got it, I think he declined it, expecting to take over the Melbourne job. Now, Craig Bellamy stayed at Melbourne, so I think he's perhaps a little bit browned off about that. And how many times you're going to knock an opportunity if it gets presented to you? So he's not going to keep getting offered opportunities if he keeps knocking back. Yes, it's logical choice is going to take over at at Melbourne Storm when Craig Bellamy retires. What about if he goes for another 3 or 4 years like Wayne Bennett? So what, are you going to sit on the bench as the assistant for the next 3 or 4 years as well? You could miss the best time of your coaching career. The best opportunity might be now, because Parramatta, they've got some problems, but they're not that bad. And I think you can turn it around fairly easy. Like, I think Souths will be a harder job for Wayne Bennett than what Parramatta will be, because Souths have, like, players that are, like, 30-something, and they've got a stack of them, right? Wayne Bennett's going to leave Souths when Souths have got a few problems. Checker, I actually like the idea. I think he would have been a good choice. And his probably best opportunity he's going to get, unfortunately for him now, will be Gold Coast if Des Hasler steps down the track in the next couple of years. Like, if Gold Coast have another bad year next year, I'm not sure Des Hasler will last out the season, or he might, but I don't think he'll last the season after. I think that could be a good fit for Checker. I also think West Tigers could be a good fit for Checker if they decide to do something different with the Benji Marshall thing. So if he had another bad year next year, I don't know how long he's going to be able to last on his playing reputation, because you can't last on that when you're coaching. You have to do what you've got runs on the board with. So Checker, funnily enough, is available at the right time too when another NRL franchise comes in and is available. So if someone moves or something's agile, well, he's agile now to take over role. I would seriously consider him for it, because he's been in around professional coaching his whole life. So, like, surely he's going to be able to do that. So it's not that much difficult. And the Justin Holbrook thing, so I said when he started out his coaching career, started off coaching at Canterbury, St George Illawarra and Parramatta before he went to England and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Just having a look at the ladder and the clubs and thinking of their coaches, there's not that many jobs that come up in the NRL. So, as you mentioned there, Jason Riles, he's been hanging out for this Melbourne job. We don't know how long Craig Bellamy's going to go around for. He's going around next year for another year. Some people probably think that Billy Slater might want that job down the track as well. Billy's happy coaching Queensland at the moment and working on Channel 9, but if and when that Melbourne Storm job does come up, he'd be certainly keen and interested in that. He lives in Melbourne, so why not? But Jason Riles, he wants that job as well, so he'd be mad not to pursue a job at Parramatta. And look, I think it'll be Josh Hannay has had a lot of raps put on him, as I said before, with Billy Slater. So he did an alright job with Cronulla before, so he would be a good candidate as well. But there's not many coaching jobs that come up in the NRL. I mean, we've seen 2 this year for next year come up. And we all knew what was happening at the Dolphins at the start of the year, that this would be Wayne Bennett's last year there. Christian Wolf would be taking over, so that club's secure. The Storm job's not available for another year. Panthers, they're not going to get rid of Ivan Cleary in a hurry. Craig Fitzgibbon at the Sharks, well, it just depends on how they go this year, I guess, in terms of a contract extension there. Trent Robinson's not going to leave the Roosters. Cameron Ciraldo, he'll stay around at the Bulldogs for a year or 2. Ricky Stewart's locked in at Canberra for a long time. Anthony Seibold at the Sea Eagles, maybe that job might come up if depending on how they go. Probably the one that is probably under a lot of pressure as well is Todd Payton up at the Cowboys. We saw them make the prelim final in 22, missed the finals last year, and they sit in 10th position on the ladder at the moment. And I think if they fail to miss the finals this year, then definitely next year Todd Payton will be under a lot of pressure up there in North Queensland.
Yeah, he would be. So, and funny thing is, knowing that Billy Slater I do think he will coach in the NRL, so I think he'll have a crack at it. And maybe he is waiting, because I'm pretty sure he's only on a year-to-year thing with Queensland job at the moment. Perhaps waiting to see what happens with that other role. If I was Jason Riles and Parramatta job come up, I would take it. I would seriously take it. I'd probably also take, like, sides in there at the bottom, like in West Tigers, like, yeah, they got some problems. If that ever came up, you would take it because I think they've got enough to work with to turn it around if you're good at your job. So Benji Marshall's going to get chopped a bit because I think they're going to have a couple of hard years. Don't think they're going to go flash next year either. Even with Jerome Luai, I think that's a 2 to 3 year project where they can turn that around a bit. They need to bring some more players in. They have got Lachlan Galvin. I would be interested. The Cowboys might actually be where Cheika ends up. I couldn't see him ending up at Manly. I just don't think they're going to go for a rugby cap. Might be wrong. So they've done it in the past. They've gone for unconventional stuff when they brought in Graham Lowe on that back in the day. People thought, oh no, don't get him in the New Zealand coach and all this stuff, and he come in and did a good job. So the options, I still would think that down the track, if Des Hasler walked away from Titans, that would be a pretty easy shoe to walk into, and I think could turn it around fairly quick, really, because they're not that bad. They might be on the bottom, but like I said, they could have 5 more wins quite easily, the Titans there. So this year, we'll just have to wait and see. Josh Hannay, if the Cowboys job will come up, he would be getting flagged for that one 100% as well, because he played there too. Is one of their best centres of all time. And when he played for the Cowboys, I remember Penrith chatting to him for a while and like, yes, I hope Penrith sign him, and he never came, and I was absolutely devil about that. Like, it would have been a good pickup, and he just didn't come over. So that's unfortunate. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens in the world, the mysterious world of coaching, because there's lots of balls in the air, and Wayne Bennett's not going to live forever. Either, unfortunately,
that's a bit harsh to say.
It's harsh, but realistically, what he's going to. When he finishes out his coaching contract, South, he's not going to coach till he's 92 or something. So he's getting on a bit now. So there'll be opportunities there down the track as well. So what do you got coming up in the Parramatta podcast this weekend, Troy?
Well, currently running, I've got episode 365 featuring 1981 grand final try-scoring player, premiership winner for the Eels, Graham Atkins, which is a really interesting chat for myself. He played for the Eels in the 76 and 77 grand finals, so we talk about that one. I started supporting the Eels in 86, so it was interesting to hear those times before I started supporting them. Obviously, his son Grant is a current NRL referee, so I asked him a couple of questions about that as well, which is interesting. So I've got that running at the moment. I'll have a replay chat of this one come out as well, probably tomorrow, and looking to do a game day Origin preview as well, hoping to get Scott Sattler lined up for a Queensland point of view, and I'm just thinking about who I can maybe try and get for a New South Wales point of view about Queensland. So hoping to bring out a game day preview of State of Origin either on Monday or Tuesday as well. So plenty of social media activity as well. So get around at the Parramatta podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So look forward to that. So State of Origin preview there. I'll try to think of some New South Wales people that come up to have a crack. Do have some people's details. I'll flick on to you and see if you can get one of them, and maybe you can have a chat to them. So now my cards have all freed up a little bit now too, so I can start getting back to doing some interviews and chasing things up as well. But there you go. Anyway, thanks for the chat tonight, Troy. Really appreciate it, and we'll chat again on Friday night. Let's go to Blues.
Absolutely. Go New South Wales on Wednesday and on Thursday as well in the Women's Origin as well. Go the Blues.
Yeah, 100%. We're hoping New South Wales gets a win there in both of those games. Troy, thanks for your time. I'll chat to you again next Friday.
Not a problem. Thanks, Duckman.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parramatta Podcast. See you next time.